Welcome back to the Emperor Atheist channel with your host, the one and only Emperor Atheist, the true God destroyer. This series is back on the so-called Black Hebrew Israelites. Now, some brothers might say, well, man, Emperor Atheist, why you going at the Black Hebrew Israelites? And I'm not out to, let me make this clear. I'm not out to destroy or to vilify the Black Hebrew Israelites, but I am out to tell the truth. And I'm against religion, period. So, I think the Black Hebrew Israelites are out here spewing false stuff. So, I think everything should be fair. All the information should be fair. Your information, we should decipher your information. You believe in the Torah, the Bible. Muslims believe in the Quran. Everybody's information should be deciphered, and the people should choose. You know what I mean? And I think that all information on both sides should always be discussed and debated, so people can make the right choice in life. And that's just my point of view on it. But in my first video, I talked about the Black Hebrew Israelites. Like I said, I've spoken with a lot of these brothers in different cities, the streets of Atlanta. I've spoken to some in L.A., Leimert Park, by the way. Shout out to Leimert Park, MLK. I've spoken to some here in West End, in the Atlanta area, downtown, Hebrews downtown, to be down there, a couple of brothers from the Israeli Church of God in Jesus Christ. Then you got some brothers from Asuk down here, which is the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. A couple of still old school Ben Yahweh followers, you know what I mean? But there's so many different sects of these black people claiming to be these Jews or Hebrews of the Bible. And I'm gonna get off into the DNA thing again too. And I'm gonna get off into more of the Old Testament criticism, or biblical criticism as you call it. But my main thing here is basically to decipher if these so-called Black Hebrews, or as they say, all of us who consider to be African Americans, or whatever you want to call us, whatever you want to call us, blacks, African Americans, Negroes, they claim that all of us are from the tribe of Judah. I decline that. I don't want to be a part of no tribe of no damn Judah or no other tribe in the Bible. But this is what they say. This is their belief. And they also say that now most of them just claim that blacks are just from the tribe of Judah. Those of you who are familiar with the Old Testament or the Torah or the Tanakh, whatever you want to call it, you know that there was 12 tribes of Israel. Israel, who was called Israel, his name was Jacob or Yaqub, okay. In the story, he wrestled with some damn angel, with God or Yahweh or whatever, and all this bullshit. And he made his thigh hollow, and he named him Israel. But anyway, and Jacob, who was the son of Isaac, okay, blah blah blah. Y'all know the story. Anyway, he had 12 sons, 12 tribes. But these Black Hebrews claim that just basically blacks are from the tribe of Judah. Judah being basically the tribe where a lot of the prophets come through, which was the fourth born. Judah was the fourth born of Jacob, after Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. Then you had Judah, who was the fourth born son. But anyway, Jesus Christ supposedly came through this tribe. So a lot of people was what you call Judahites. But there's no evidence for that. There's no proof of that. But the thing is, where the Black Hebrews, and I'm calling out all y'all, General Yohana, you got a big mouth. You going around talking about Dr. Ben was a federal agent. You have no evidence. You say you got a tape, and I'm waiting for you. Oh, really, brother? I wish you get in touch with me, because I want to debate you live. You claiming that you have a tape with Dr. Ben says that he was a part of UNESCO. Sure he was, because the 1974 symposium took place. UNESCO sponsored that. So by him saying that he was a part of UNESCO doesn't make him a federal agent, brother. I mean, come on now. You actually got to bring more evidence than that. There was a lot of people that was part of UNESCO who probably weren't a part of whatever UNESCO was a part of. And we have the information, same thing you're saying about what UNESCO and who funded them and all that. Who cares? We know that UNESCO was funded by the Europeans and the 1% elite. But it still was information that needed to be debated at the UNESCO symposium. So what Diop and what they was doing during this time, and what UNESCO was at least trying to do, was a good thing as far as getting information out there. Now, whether you follow, whether you want to follow the information or accept the information, that's on you, brother. But my point is, what you said about Dr. Ben, I think is some bullshit. Now, I'm not a follower of Kemet, but I do have a respect for all black history, Nile Valley civilization, and not to look up to any particular man, but I have an admirable respect for our older black brothers. Some are still here, some are still gone. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, and whoever you vilify and speak against, especially being a Hebrew, so-called man of God, right? You have to bring the evidence, brother. Don't just say you're going to do something. When you made the statement, you should have had the evidence then. Don't make the statement, then get on side of the TV and say, I'm going to bring the statement. I got a recording where he said he worked for UNESCO. So fucking what? That doesn't prove that he was a federal agent. I mean, come on, bro. So, y'all brothers say a lot of ignorant shit. And basically, you get your head cut off most of the time because the shit you bring don't really be factual. But I'm going to get off into, we'll let the Kemetic family handle that on Dr. Ben. I'm sure Sarah soon said there's somebody got something to say about that. But I just want to basically get into the information and the real stuff on the bullshit that y'all claim. Now, y'all say that blacks are basically from the tribe of Judah. And you make the claim also that Native Americans and certain Hispanics make up the other 11 tribes. Whether it's Gideon or Issachar, Reuben, you saying the Gad, and all of these other tribes. And a lot of the pamphlets I see y'all with, y'all never had a tribe of Dan in them. You have Benjamin and Ephraim, which we know came through Joseph. But what happened to the tribe of Dan? But that's a whole nother video. But and Dan, the tribe of Dan is missing from the book of Revelation. So why? Why is that? So you brothers never can answer questions like this. But anyway, you say that Native Americans, Hispanics, are also Israelites. Well, I have to bust your bubble on this. And whoever want to debate this, I want to call out the leaders, because a lot of you followers who try to comment at me on Facebook and stuff, it's like I don't know, it's like your debate skills are really not up to par, and you're just coming at me with emotion. You can't come at anyone with emotion. You got to come with the facts and information. And this is what I'm doing now. First thing I'm going to say about the claim of most black Hebrews, and I'm not calling out any particular group of black Hebrews, whether the GOCC, ISOP, General Yohana, Tazaka, whoever. Most of you claim the same thing. A lot of you disagree with each other, but you agree with each other when it comes to that the black people, so-called African Americans, are the tribe of Judah. And you also mostly agree that Native Americans, Hispanics, and so forth make up the other tribes. Okay. Well, the thing about this is DNA doesn't show anything like this. What DNA does show, and what haplotypes do show, and haplogroups do show, is that Native Americans, Hispanics mostly, are all come through the Bering Strait. They come from Mongolian groups. They come from what you call Asiatic groups, Siberian type haplogroups. Nothing dealing with Jewish ancestry, or what you call European Jews. Now you have some of the Native American types have come to being Western European, but not anything tied to Africa or anything like that. So I have to ask you this question, you black Hebrews who are making these claims. Do you have any idea how DNA sequences work, or do you have any idea what is DNA analytics? I mean, do you understand how this stuff works? You can't just make claims from a damn ancient book that you don't even know who wrote the book, or the authors of this so-called Bible. You have no way to show that black Hebrews even preserved this damn book, but you claim them to be the real people of the book, and that the Jews that are in Israel are the fake Jews. These are the ones that got all the power. These are the ones that got the military and the universities. These are the ones who even have the standardized Hebrew and the rules that goes along with it. But yet none of you black Hebrews can show me any rules for the Hebrew language that you have ever preserved through history. So that's another subject too. It's kind of like everywhere you guys step with what you're claiming, is too many holes in it. And in a real debate, you wouldn't have a chance. A lot of times y'all brothers be on the street and you hollering, y'all got the microphones, and that's not a real debate. It's not a real debate environment. But in a real debate, you wouldn't have a chance because you got too many holes in your belief system. And don't even have to attack the Bible. I don't even have to attack the criticisms of the so-called Old Testament. I don't have to attack the contradictions, the clear historical contradictions of the Bible to defeat you. All I have to do is defeat what you believe. Like, for example, you claiming that the Native Americans are the tribes of Israel. Well, think about this. Different universities, DNA analysts, DNA specialists have been tracking DNA haplogroups for years. We know who the haplogroups is: West Africa, South Africa, North Africa. We understand how these people traveled, how they migrated from different time periods. We also know about the Kohen haplogroups, which in the Jewish ancestry is J and E. Please go research this. And even those, like I said in my last video, when we talk about the Ethiopian Jews, the Ethiopian Jews have 98% Ethiopian blood, not Israelite blood. So yeah, they're fallacious, but and of course some different people intermarry with different tribes, but the Ethiopian Jews are not DNA. They are not DNA linked with the Kohen tribes or the J&E groups. They are linked not primarily with African haplogroups, haplotypes, because they're African. That's why. But you people, of course, you claim, like I said before, that in 70 CE, Vespasian and his son Titus drove the true Israelites out of Jerusalem, and you went off into the diaspora of Africa and got mixed in with African tribes. And I made my point in my last video, and I've been making this point for years. If that is the case, then we will see this haplogroup traveling from Jerusalem or around that area into the African diaspora, okay? But we don't see that. Then you have the Limba tribe, who claims to be Jews, which were nothing but proselytes converted. They have a small sequence of some of the Kohen European Jewish DNA within their blood through marriage. Now think about this. If the Limba only has a small percentage of that, then the Limba is only claiming what the European Jews have in their DNA haplogroup. It's not the other way around, that some of these white Jews have a small percentage of the Limba blood. No, it's the reverse. The Limba people are claiming this Kohen group, and they have a small percentage of the Kohen haplogroup. So there's not one single piece of evidence that shows that blacks are linked to any Leviticus tribe, Judah tribes, or any of these tribes of Israel. You have no way to claim this. You're just using this Bible, which you can't use the Bible for history because it's bullshit. You don't even know who wrote the first 5 books of the Torah, or what they call the Pentateuch. You have no idea who wrote it. You claim Moses did it, or Moshe, as you people said, but you have no idea. You don't know, and it's contradictory. And as a matter of fact, when actually studying the Torah and studying the Hebrew, you actually see that whoever Moses was, if he even existed, I'm of a strong historical opinion that he didn't exist at all. But just for the sake of argument, I say he did exist. And if he did exist, he definitely didn't write the first 5 books of the Torah. And I'm going to show and prove that before this video is over too. But back to what I was saying about the Native Americans. When you go and you study Y-DNA haplogroups, J and E, you see that most of the Native Americans are of European descent and mostly Siberian descent, Mongolian descent, who mix a little bit with some Western Europeans and Syrians. And this is another thing I want to say. And this kind of shows improving, and this kind of puts the nail in the coffin, really, for you black Hebrews, when we talk about Judah, or where was Judah at, or Judah, or whatever. When you go back and you study the history of King Nebuchadnezzar in Babylon, the Babylonian tablets, you see that Nebuchadnezzar and some of the kings of Akkad invaded a place what's called the land of Hatti, right? The land of Hatti, which is now present-day Turkey, or what we call Anatolian territory. Present-day Turkey now. And the funny thing about this, because this is where the capital of Judah was at the time. Now, we have no history of any African blood groups ever being in this area of the world, or at least ruling, anything like that. But there was a lot of invasions of this particular land called the land of Hatti, which, as I say, was Anatolian, which is Turkey, modern-day Turkey today. And there was a lot of invasions. The Hittites invaded it. You had different tribes of people over different times in BC that invaded it. But the funny thing about this is that when you actually study the Y-DNA groups, especially J&E, which are some of the main groups of these European Jews, you see that they have Turkish and Anatolian blood. Not African, but Anatolian and Turkish blood. The same place that these ancient Babylonian records say that King Nebuchadnezzar invaded, that the kings of Akkad invaded. Now, how is that? How can you argue with that when you see the blood groups and you see where these people of Judah, the real people of Judah, who are the European Jews, they have the same blood as the Anatolian and people of Turkey today. They share a major percentage of the same DNA haplotypes. Now, come on now. You can't, you can lie and say anything about history, but you can't lie about the DNA. DNA kills everything. So, like I said, as far as your false claim about Native Americans, that's a lie, because all of their DNA goes back to, like I said, Mongolia, which we understand through history that these Asians came across the Bering Strait thousands and thousands of years ago, came down through what we call Alaska, and then you had your people of Alaska, and you come on down, you see how all these Indians and all these people are really of the same phenotype. So we know that through history that the Indians, different tribes of Indians, and all the way down to the Aztecs and the Mayans, these people had Asian features and Asian blood, Asian DNA types, Mongolian and Siberian DNA types. Some even had Micronesian, if you go back and study. Even there's a new study done. Matter of fact, where's that at? University of Copenhagen. Science has just done this genome about the Native American. They saying that Oceania, even you have some Oceania blood made its way into the Native American haplogroup. But nothing, no DNA, nothing about Africa, nothing about any Jews, anything like that. So you're wrong about that, and you got to bring the evidence. And of course you can't, because these are new studies. All these people are professionals, peer-reviewed professionals. So y'all can't come with that white devil making shit up. That's bullshit. You sound dumb as hell when you say stuff like that. I mean, come on, man. You got black DNA specialists too. I mean, these people went to school for this. They know what they're doing. And if you think they're lying, then what you need to do, get you a group of y'all black Hebrews, get off the damn street hollering on the goddamn corners of New York and all these other places you at with this dumb shit, these loud ass microphones, these screaming these fake ass Bible verses out. What you do, if you think the white devil is lying about what they finding in scientific labs about DNA and haplogroups, then get you together a research team, brother. And y'all go into the labs and show and prove it wrong. Then, man, y'all get my applause. Until y'all do that, you're talking dumb shit. Nobody's going to respect your knowledge or your research. You're just running your mouth, okay? Because obviously Yahweh ain't helping you with the research. So that kills that. So your argument on Native Americans and Hispanics being 12 tribes of Israel is dead. Okay, so that argument is done. Now, as far as the Hebrew, I see some of you brothers, I see some of you brothers walk around with the Paleo Hebrew on your shirts. I see, some of the stuff you wear, a lot of your little Power Rangers outfit. I see the Paleo, some of the Paleo Hebrew, for those who not, that's like an older script of what we call from the square script of the modern day Hebrew that are used today. Paleo Hebrew is just a more ancient script. Only thing Paleo Hebrew was a Phoenician alphabet, okay? And those who are not familiar with the Phoenicians were not black, okay? Phoenicians was an Eastern Mediterranean ethnic group. So my question to you black Hebrews, those of you who support the Paleo Hebrew, and I guess you think the black Hebrews, some black Jews came up with the Paleo Hebrew, then I got to ask you, who were the Phoenicians, and why did you borrow this alphabet strictly from the Phoenicians? Or are you going to tell me that the Phoenicians were black? And of course you can't prove that because DNA shows different. These were Eastern Mediterranean people. They weren't European, nor were they white. So, and by the way, the funny thing about this, as far as dealing with the Paleo Hebrew or the ancient Hebrew, there's only one group of people, and this is probably one of the smallest ethnic groups in the world today, the Samaritans. These are the only people in the world today that even use the Paleo Hebrew script. Why are you not using it? Why you can't speak it and write it? You just walking around with it, on your shirts and stuff, but you're not using it. The Samaritans, who are not black, non-African people, who are over in the East, these are the only people using a small group. So that historically kind of kills your Paleo Hebrew, your Paleo Hebrew argument. So, like I asked in the last video, what Hebrew do you use? What Hebrew grammar rules do you use? Okay, because a standard, a Hebrew standard that is established by Israel. And do you follow those rules? And if you don't follow those rules, because if you tell me you follow those rules, then that shows and proves that you ain't came up with nothing on your own, and that the black Hebrew Israelites is not a separate group. In other words, you're just blacks who culminated into a white Jewish religion. But if you tell me that you have different rules, okay? If you tell me that you have different rules that are set aside from what who we know as modern Jews today, if you have a separate set of rules that are different, then you need to show it and show that black Hebrews preserve these things. If you can't do that, then you're only showing that you have assimilated into the European Jewish belief system. Other than that, you're dead on that matter too. Oh yeah. As far as your Bible goes, I just simple questions I want to ask you. As far as the criticism of the Bible, and I know a lot of you brothers, you don't really study the Torah like you think you do. You know, you memorize verses. Oh, I give you brothers props on that. Y'all memorize verses. Y'all know how to shoot straight to verses and all that. That's all good. Yeah, okay. A lot of people can do that. Don't mean, it's nothing special. But I just want to ask you a couple of questions on Exodus 6, chapter 6, verses 2, 3. And everybody that's listening to this video, I want you to follow along with me too. And I should have put them up on the screen. And I still might. I haven't published the video yet, so I still might. But Exodus 6, 2 through 3 is this particular so-called God talking to Moses. And he tells Moses, he says that I am Yahweh, basically. He said, but Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob didn't know me by Yahweh. So he's basically telling Moses that now you know me by this particular name, Yahweh, okay, which is supposedly a special name for the Jews, whether you're Hasidic, conservative, reformative, it don't matter. And this is the name that Exodus 6:2-3 uses Yahweh. But this is the contradiction. In Genesis 15:7 and in Genesis 28:13, he tells Abraham that I am Yahweh, who brought you out of the land of the Chaldeans. Now, I want to ask you, Hebrews, how can you reconcile this contradiction? If in Exodus 6:2-3, your so-called God tells Moses that he didn't reveal his name Yahweh to Abraham and Jacob and all of them, but yet in Genesis 15:7, he tells Abraham that he's Yahweh. Look in the Hebrew. You guys say you read Hebrew. Go to the oldest Hebrew scripts that were found. He says, I am Yahweh who brought you out of the land of the Chaldeans, or the land of Ur. And in Genesis 28:16, he tells Jacob the same thing. When he was wrestling with him and he stood over him, he said, I am Yahweh and Yahweh Elohim, thy God. Come on now. Y'all got to reconcile these contradictions, because this can't be the book of a perfect God who is lying. He told Moses a lie. Can you please straighten it up? Come on. Y'all got to straighten it up. And there's so many more. Another one. Moses' father-in-law. What was his name, Hebrew brothers? All you brothers that can spit the Bible real good. What was Moses, properly in Hebrew called Moshe? What was his father-in-law name? Now, according to Exodus 3:1 and 18:1, we know the name was Jethro, or Jethro in English, right? Okay. Well, when we go over to Numbers 10:29 and Judges chapter 4 and 11, we see that his name all of a sudden became Hobab, Hobab. Now, for those who claim to know Hebrew, or those who are not familiar with Hebrew, you know that Jethro and Hobab, or Jethro and Hobab, has nothing to do with each other linguistically. The cognates are totally different. So, what was Moses' father-in-law name? Either his name was Jethro or Hobab. Which one was it? Can't be both. Okay? So, come on. I'm asking some of you Hebrew brothers to please straighten that for me and show and prove which one of the names were right. Because obviously the author of this book, and if you say Moses wrote it, then Moses was confused and Yahweh didn't guide his pen. So, obviously he didn't know what the hell his father-in-law name was. He was smoking some hell of a kush or something. I don't know. But that's bullshit. Okay? Another one, I have a question for you guys. Aaron, the brother of Moses. It says that Aaron died and was buried at Mount Hor. Right? Right? Am I right? According to your Torah, Aaron, brother of Moses, who's a part of the Levitical priesthood, say he died and was buried at Mount Hor, Hor, right? Okay. Well, This is according to Numbers chapter 20, 22 through verses 29, and chapter 38, verses 38. This shows and proves that he was buried in Mount Hor. Oh, and also in Deuteronomy 32, verse 50. But in Deuteronomy 10:6, chapter 10:6, okay, it says that Aaron died and was buried at Masarah, right? Or Masarath, which are distinctly two different places. Now, I want y'all to go look at Mount Hor. As a matter of fact, the Bible itself, the itinerary of the Bible and the locations shows you that it's two distinct places. Now, Aaron couldn't have died and was buried in two different places. That's impossible. Either he died and was buried in Mount Hor, or he either died and was buried at Masarah. Now, which one was it, Hebrew brothers? And there's so many of these particular things. And I'm just on the Old Testament because I know that's where a lot of y'all bullshit come from. A lot of your prophecies of Deuteronomy 28 and all this dumb shit. Limitations about people being black, Israelites being black, which is a bunch of bogus shit. You're twisting the Hebrew language because you really don't understand the Hebrew language. So you're twisting it, and I understand. But, I mean, another one. I got to ask. Exodus 21, 2 through 7. Exodus chapter 21, 2 through 7 says that Hebrew male slaves are to be freed after 6 years of service, right? But it says in the same verse that this doesn't apply to the Hebrew female slaves. Some ridiculous God. Y'all got some bullshit. Okay, but then we go over to Deuteronomy 15, chapter 15, verse 12. That's Deuteronomy chapter 15, verse 12. It says that both female and male Hebrew slaves should be freed after 6 years of service. Now, which one is going to be, y'all? It can't be both. So, you know, I mean, it's stuff like this that shows and proves, first of all, that your Torah is bullshit. It has too many textual problems. And that's just a few books I'm talking about. I ain't even talking about the rest of the Old Testament that I can just rip up and tear out because I studied theology for so many years. I studied textual criticism for so many years. I don't even want to get on your New Testament. It's straight bullshit. It's just as bad as the Old Testament, probably worse. Because I know you guys believe in Jesus Christ too and all this dumb shit. But it's bullshit. And I just want you guys to be fair and answer my questions. Answer my questions on the DNA, J&E groups of the Jews, and why we don't find any of this DNA, why we can't show this from any West Africans who came over here on ships. Why we can't show that. Why we can't show any DNA evidence of these Native Americans and Hispanics who y'all say are the rest of the tribes of Israel. Why we can't show and prove that they are also Hebrews. Why y'all can't show this evidence? It's a bunch of bullshit. That's why you can't show it, because it's not true. You have taken on the claim of the ones you call Edomites. You know, this is what you have done. You know, and I got so much, man. Oh my God, man. I could just write a book alone just on this, man. It's like, you know, y'all talking about Moses did this, but how could Moses have written this book, man? He couldn't have written the book, man. You know, Deuteronomy 1:1. You know, when you look at that, everybody know the story. Y'all Hebrews know, y'all study. That's, you know, Moses never made it to the land of Canaan. He died, right? He died east of the River Jordan. When you read Deuteronomy 1:1, that's somebody talking that was on the other side of Jordan. So how could it have been Moses? Because Moses never made it to the western side of Jordan, which was Canaan. So how could he be talking from that perspective? It's just a bunch of bullshit, man, that y'all believe in. And y'all need to stop doing this stuff, man. Bring your evidence, your DNA evidence that blacks are the Hebrew Israelites. You can't do it. You can't even bring me a source, a historical source, where any slaves on any slave ship claim to be a Hebrew Israelite. You can't do it. Because it's false. But you know I'm not done with y'all. I'm not done with y'all. So, I'm definitely not done with y'all, man. But check this out, man. I enjoy everybody watching my videos, sharing and liking my videos. Hey, I'm the Emperor Atheist, and I'm going to keep coming with these videos. I'm not going to stop. I'm not done with the Black Hebrew Israelites. I'm not done with the Bible and this bullshit series. I'm not done with the Quran and this bullshit series. It's probably going to have a different name, but you know I'm going to keep it going because I'm your favorite atheist, the Emperor Atheist. Peace out.